It is March 17th, the year 2021. A happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there listening. Blue Wire Hustle proudly presents All Eyes on Cleveland. I'm your host, Brad Ward. Mikey is on the ones and twos. Tonight we have a very special guest joining us momentarily. His name is Doc Holliday, former running back for the Rams. Played his college football at Memphis for the Memphis Tigers. He will join us to talk about the Browns' home run free agency hit on one John Johnson III. We talked about him on the Saving the Safety Room show here. This guy is a freaking stud. Love this guy. He's going to change the Browns' defense. They knocked it out of the park with this one. I know many of you are anxious about the edge, about cornerback. We're going to talk about that after a little bit, real briefly after the interview. We're going to come back. I'm going to go through some names for you. We'll give you up to date on everything. Anybody that's linked to the Browns at this point, we'll cover all of that with you before we get out of here. But tonight, let's first get to the interview with the one and only Doc Holliday. He was a running back in the NFL, in the CFL, and also now is the co-host with Isaac Bruce of the Bleav in Rams podcast. Let's see if how we can do this seamlessly here, Mikey. Think we got this one? Here we go. We are thrilled to welcome to All Eyes on Cleveland tonight a very special guest. Doc Holliday played his football for the Memphis Tigers, former NFL running back and CFL running back, played in the NFL for the Rams, and is now co-host of the Bleav in Rams podcast. How are we doing tonight, Doc?
Hey, I'm well, Brad. How you doing, man?
I'm doing very good, very good. Excited to have you on, sir. Very excited.
Appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah. I was looking kind of down your timeline and stuff, and you're very involved still with the Memphis Tigers. I see you, rooting them on and kind of posting players and stuff. And as I kind of researched a little more, I saw that I didn't realize this, but Isaac Bruce, your podcast partner, also went to Memphis, same time as you. And you guys played for the Rams at the same time. So you guys played in college together and pro together, and now you host the Bleav in Rams podcast together. You guys been friends for obviously a long time. How did you meet Isaac, and is that just by happenstance that happened, or?
Hey, it's an interesting story, man. Of course, I met him when he came, and when he signed, at the time we were still called Memphis State, when he came to play with me at Memphis State, man. He was leaving Santa Monica Junior College, and when I first met him, when a lot of us first met him at Memphis State, Isaac didn't talk a lot. He still doesn't talk a lot now, but when we first saw him in training camp, I was like, since I was on offense, I was a running back, he was a receiver, and I was watching him. We was watching him. We was like, damn, man, that dude cold. Because back then, even what made him so good, you can't tell when he's finna come out of his breaks. So that's why he was almost unguardable. So we saw that, and I was like, man, this dude. This dude is pretty much unguardable. So the first time I said something to him, I was like, hey, man, nice route. He didn't say anything. I was like, okay. Maybe he didn't hear me. So he did it again. I was like, hey, man, hey, nice route. He didn't say anything again. I said, man, if I say one more thing to this dude and he ignores me, I'm punching him in his face. But that's just how Isaac was, man. And since then, he and I have been like best friends, man. He was in my wedding, man. And as you said, we got real close at Memphis, and when I played for the St. Louis Rams, started off on the practice squad. I was living with him, so big money take care of little money, man. Eventually I got activated to the active roster. But
yeah,
hey, look, so I stayed with him, man, and we've been close ever since.
That's pretty cool, man. That's an awesome story, and yeah, that's crazy. You guys, started in college, played in the pros together, and now hosting a podcast together about the very team that you played for. So that's pretty cool stuff.
Yes, sir.
I went back and watched some of your highlights from Memphis, Memphis State or whatever, but you were running people.
Memphis, right? Yeah.
Memphis, yeah, you were running people over. It had some The one I could find, it had some 90s, rap in it, some Master P and something. Whoever put it together,
Yeah.
it was awesome. It was an awesome clip before HD, obviously. But you were
Yeah, man, I know.
you were running some people over, man. So you're a beast. That was awesome. I was checking that out too. So I always got to do my research before I have people on. So good stuff there. We wanted to bring you on. The Browns in free agency, and he was one of the guys that I highlighted all along. I did a segment a couple weeks ago on fixing the safety room and kind of looked at the PFF grades of some of the guys that were there last year. And below 50, pretty bad. Like, we got to get a stud in here. Joe Woods wants to play with three safeties on the field, so even if a Grant Delpit comes back healthy, they're still going to need a third guy that can play, along with Ronnie Harrison and him. And I was like, man, I'm good on Anthony Harris. He kind of took a step back. The guy that I really, really like is John Johnson III. And, a couple other people around town have been saying the same thing. And so we kind of felt like this was a home run hit here when they were able to sign John Johnson III. Tell me a little bit about what you see in him, what exactly the Browns are getting with John Johnson III.
Just a straight baller, man. Just a straight dog. Not only is he a baller and he's a dog, man, he's extremely smart. As I said, he's tough, man. He's one of those players that, you want to have not only on your defense, but on that last level of defense on your defense. And John Johnson III, he's one of the, the main reasons why the Rams have the number one defense in the NFL last year. He's just as I said, he's a dog, man, because you don't have many safeties who can be a box safety and a deep safety. And what I mean by a box safety, which means he can come down in the box, running back, get the rock. He going to punch you in your mouth, and he's not afraid to punch you in your mouth. That's what I like about John Johnson III. That's why I hate we're losing him. I hate to lose him, but I'm glad he's found somewhere that somebody's gonna pay him, man. 24 million guaranteed. So you all get 24 million guaranteed, 33.75, for 3 years. But John Johnson III, extremely, extremely impressed with him, man. He's spent his first 4 seasons with us, from Boston College, and he's just to see his evolution and see him progress to the player he was last year. Think about it, man. We had Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Floyd on that defense, but he was the ones with the headset, with the communication in his helmet, talking to the defensive coordinator. So that lets you know how smart he is. Yeah. So extremely impressed with John Johnson III, man. I think you all gonna love him.
Yeah, so I know a lot. He gets kind of overlooked on that defense, and I know he's been a big key part of it. A guy here in town starts immediately diving into the film work, and he was posting, as soon as they signed him, he was posting highlight after highlight on Twitter, and I was like, man, this guy is so much fun to watch. It's crazy. He's all over the place and making plays. There's a little connection there with Wade Phillips and Joe Woods. Wade Phillips kind of gave him his first shot, right? Put him on the field his rookie year, and moved on from somebody else. I'm not sure exactly who it was at the time, but he started, like you said, balling right away. And then, Wade Phillips and Joe Woods replaced Wade Phillips in Denver when he went to the Rams. So they have a relationship. So it's not you can kind of draw those dots together that, hey, I'm sure they talked about him a little bit and what they're getting here as far as a player. What about him off the field, personality-wise? Do you know anything about him? I've heard he's kind of a outgoing leader, and he's only 25 years old, right?
Yeah, he's a young man, man. As far as, let me tell you something, I don't know much about him off the field, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know a lot about you off the field. That means you're getting in some trouble. You're getting into some crash. So as far as I hear, man, John Johnson III, just a real good teammate, just a real good young man, someone you want to have around, someone who makes good decisions, someone who doesn't get caught, in the nightlife and all the madness. And if you can see, if he was in LA, at the hotbed of madness in America and wasn't able to get in any trouble and keep his hands clean, he can go anywhere else across the country and keep his hands clean. So he's one of those, man, he's going to come to your city. He's not going to cause a lot of problems. He's going to bring productivity and positivity, not only to your organization, but to your city. So I don't think anybody in Cleveland should be worried about John Johnson III tearing up the city, man. I think everything going to be tearing up is them cats on that football field. So that's all y'all want him to do.
That's what we want to hear. Yeah, I think he can, stay away from the temptations in Cleveland if he was good in LA. Doesn't really compare there. But that's good stuff. I wanted to ask you if Doc, I was curious about one more question about you here as I was getting onto it. Did you went to school for broadcast journalism?
Well, yeah, I started off, man. When I first got there, I really didn't know what my major was going to be. I said I was going to own a business and all that stuff. But really, man, I just wanted to go play football. But so I started off in business, and the more and more I got interviewed, news or sports reporters would be like, Doc, you need to be going to communications. You're going to end up taking our job before. So I kind of, I finally listened to them. And when I came back from playing CFL ball, that's when I went back to Memphis. And got my degree in broadcasting. So, I ended up switching to it. Yeah,
so, you can tell, obviously, you're excellent on the air and everything. Thanks, but I was just, I had noticed that. And did you work at one of the news stations out there, or news director, sports director, or something like that?
Oh, yeah, man. Actually, my first television job was $7 an hour, 20 hours a week, man. I had came back from the CFL. I was broke. But I needed to get back in school, but I know I wanted to do sports on television. So I just took the lowest paying job really in the TV station because I wanted to get my foot in the door. So I did that and just learned the business after that, how to operate a camera, how to edit. Even back then it was tape to tape, man. So and I've been a sports director. I just finished 9 years sports director at local Memphis, ABC 24 here in Memphis. I decided not to re-sign. Doing something else now, but yeah, man, I've spent some years in the business.
That's awesome. That's cool. I wanted to ask you about that. I noticed that on your LinkedIn page and stuff, and thought that was pretty cool. So, yeah, that's awesome. All right, so another guy from the Rams here, right, that I have been kind of focused on is Troy Hill, right? Free agency. We're a couple days into it now. Browns need to replace Kevin Johnson with a slot cornerback. One of my favorites is Troy Hill because I know he can play outside too. He did it before Jalen Ramsey came, right? So he's very versatile, can do both. What are your thoughts on his free agency? Do you think that the Rams do they have a desire to bring him back, or is he pretty much, once he sees that free agency out there, he's probably going to end up someplace else?
No, of course the Rams want him back because Jalen Ramsey wants him back. When your top cornerback, one of the best players on your team says they want somebody, you at least try to make it happen if you can. It all depends on what kind of money Troy Hill is asking for and what he's expecting. So you see the Rams letting him hit the open market like this. But man, Troy Hill's a great player. He's a good player. That's why Jalen Ramsey is so high on him. As good as Jalen is, he loves the fact that he doesn't have to worry about this side of the field, and he can actually, even if he doesn't follow a receiver, the best receiver all the time, he has confidence that his corner on the other side can shut him down or at least do a good job of covering him. But the thing about it, if you all bring in Troy, he's already used to playing with John Johnson III, and that was a good thing about all of that because Jalen Ramsey taking care of his business on this side, even if you don't, even if Troy Hill wasn't man-to-man on the best receiver on the other side, he still had help from Jordan Fuller and Troy, and John Johnson III, those guys back there. So Jalen able to go one-on-one. They can bracket whoever the other top receiver is. But Troy Hill has good man-to-man coverage skills. He has good instincts, as does John Johnson III. So I would think that'd be a good pickup as well. But damn, Brad, y'all can't have our entire defense.
You can't have. That's what I'm saying, right? It's the best it's the best defensive football. You take as many guys as you can, right?
I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad.
I just like those two guys a lot when I was doing my free agency work. Obviously, the Rams were fun to watch on defense. As always. Now they did choose to spend their big money on their edge, Leonard Floyd, $16 million per year. You think that was the right decision as far as, if they had to choose between John Johnson or Troy Hill or keeping their edge, to start, not letting him see that open market. Do you think that was the right move to keep Floyd?
Of course, man, because for one, Leonard Floyd had a career year last season, 10 and a half sacks playing next to Aaron Donald. Now, I'll be the first one to say a lot of those sacks came because he was playing next to Aaron Donald. But at the same time, when you watch Leonard Floyd play last season, dude was just relentless. He was just getting after cats. I seen a couple of plays. He was blocked 2 and 3 times, getting up, still going out there and got some sacks and got some tackles for loss for that. So I'm glad to see them keep Leonard Floyd they had to make a choice. And they chose Leonard Floyd. And this is why I'm not upset about that, because you want your pass rush to be good. If your pass rush is good, it really don't matter who you got in the defensive backfield, because this quarterback ain't got time to really throw the ball. So I can see why they kept Leonard Floyd instead of John Johnson III, because he had a great year and he's playing well with AD. And the thing about it, if you let Leonard Floyd go, AD already getting double teamed and triple teamed a lot. You let Leonard Floyd go and you don't have anybody else but AD. Now he's getting quadruple team. He ain't giving you nothing. So you got to at least keep somebody else on that defensive line out in that box where the other team has to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, after that Super Bowl, right, there is no question that pass rush is the key, right? You got to be able to get home with 4, and that's just the way it is. So that seems to be priority 1 for most teams right now, right? We're trying to find Myles Garrett's running mate in Cleveland, like Leonard Floyd is to Donald. So we're trying to work that out right now in free agency and maybe in the draft. So as far as the Rams go, big changes, right? The Goff era has ended, and they usher in Matt Stafford. So, I think pretty highly of Matt Stafford. I think he played great football in Detroit. He's a tough son of a bitch. He's I just think he hasn't had the right opportunity. He gets the chance now with the Rams, Sean McVay. The sky's the limit, right? With Stafford, is this the bump the Rams needed to be Super Bowl champions here? Bring one home?
Well, we hope, man. I know this is a move that the Rams had to make. I mean, the one move that they had to make this offseason, they had to address the quarterback situation. Had to get Jared Goff ass up out of there, man, because we were done with him. He was done with us. You know what I mean? So to get somebody like Matthew Stafford, it's it's an upgrade. So you can't be mad at it. So I'm glad we got Matthew Stafford joining the squad. I would still like to see us get a receiver to take the top off the defense to help Matthew Stafford out, because Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, as good as they are, they're pretty much possession receivers, man. They'll get it. They're good yards out the catch. You want those deep posts and those deep outs. That's really not them. So I'm glad to see Matthew Stafford come aboard. That deal is official today, and to get Jared Goff out of there. So we're hoping that it's a bump that's going to lead us to the Super Bowl, but we shall see. We know that the quarterback position won't be the reason why we don't make it next year. Which the quarterback position was a big reason why we didn't make it this year. So much as we appreciate Jared Goff, man, I'm glad his ass gone, man.
Yeah,
honestly,
no question. I've just seen pictures of McVay just like looking at him like sometimes, and I'm like, dang, that dude hates him. He hates Jared Goff. You could just see it in his eyes. He's like, why does he hate him so much?
It may have been just disgust, man, because you watch Jared Goff, his body language. It's like, dude, you don't even believe in yourself. I'm watching them like, man, if I'm in the huddle with you, with your body language and probably the way you talking and the way you carrying yourself, you don't believe in you, so I'm not gonna believe in you. So I damn so don't believe in this play you getting ready to call. And if it breaks down, I don't believe you can make a play to make something happen. So Jared Goff, just his mental toughness. Wasn't where it's supposed to be, man. So, as I said, he was checked out on us and we were checked out on him.
Yeah, so time to move on. New environment for everybody, so everybody should win there. We'll see what happens with him. But more importantly, it takes you guys, the Rams, who were just knocking on the door last year, and hopefully it takes the next step for you guys in the NFC. Browns are trying to do the same thing in the AFC. Got, a couple plays away from the AFC Championship against the Chiefs. Crazy game there. One of their receivers, Rashard Higgins, is testing the free agency market right now. Odell Beckham Jr. coming back from injury. Browns may be testing the receiver market for a guy a little bit to maybe play that third role there in their receiver room behind Landry and OBJ. A guy named Anthony Miller, who went to Memphis, is just last night was rumored to be on the trade block out of Chicago. What would the Browns be getting if they went and rang his number?
Just a tough, extremely talented, mentally tough, physically tough. He'll block, great hands, great route runner. He's a guy, man. He needs to pray and hope Chicago gets him out of there because they're horrible. And the fact of the matter, he hasn't had a quarterback to throw him the ball. And even when a quarterback is in there, they don't look for him. So if the Browns, even if it's not you all, anybody getting Anthony Miller, I mean, they are getting a player who can seriously, like, from this past season to next season, make a jump. You'd be like, where the hell that dude come from? Not knowing he's been in the NFL 4 years. He's that good and he has that much potential. And I think a lot of teams know that. It's just the fact he's played with the Bears who, Miss Trubisky, and that's what I call him, Miss Trubisky, not Bisky. That's what I call him. He just cannot play. He's not a good quarterback, man. So unfortunately for Anthony, as I said, I'm real close with his family. His uncle play receiver with me and Isaac at Memphis. And I'm real close with his mom and dad and everybody. And I know Anthony, man, he's just a great young man. But anybody who gets Anthony Miller, I'm telling you, if you just get him a quarterback and somebody to get him the ball, his mentality is a lot like Baker Mayfield. Baker, like, I don't give a damn. I'm finna smack you. I'm finna hit you in your mouth. I'm just finna ball out. That's how Anthony Miller is. So if you got a quarterback like that, then you get a tough dude like that. Because let's be honest, man, OBJ with all the talent, his problem is he's been more interested in being a celebrity, man, other than being a football player. With all that talent, he just wants to be a celebrity. So if he can focus and y'all get Anthony Miller, man, I'm telling you, anybody that get A. Miller, they're getting a heck of a ball player.
Yeah, for sure. I thought the same thing. I mean, he took a step forward this year, even with the bad passing game. And you can see the talent when he plays. I mean, he certainly has the skills out there to have a breakout year with in a different scheme or whatever they're doing there in Chicago. They got Andy Dalton now. Like, that's going to solve the problems over there.
I know, man. I mean, that's like getting a hefty trash bag and replacing it with a Glad, man. Both of them trash bags, man.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So let's get your thoughts here on free agency in general. What's your biggest surprise? Any huge surprises that jump off the page to you that kind of took you back here in the first couple of days of free agency?
Not really. I really didn't pay too much attention to it. If it wasn't the Rams, I was really more focused on what they were doing. So, anything else, I'm glad to see Dak Prescott get his money. He's not someone but staying in our division, NFC West, I was kind of surprised to see AJ Green go to the Cardinals. So Arizona trying to do some things. You get AJ, you put him with DeAndre Hopkins. They added JJ Watt. So, the Cardinals have made some big moves this offseason. So I've just really been focused on what the Rams doing and, a couple of teams in our division. But overall, other teams, it's like, it's cool, man. We'll holler at y'all.
Yeah, I mean, they say the NFC West and the AFC North are the two toughest divisions of football right there. So, I mean, the 49ers have been doing some things, and, they had the injury craziness last year that kind of took them out of the picture, but I'm sure that they'll bounce back and everything there. So it's playing in a tough division, but for sure. Anything you want to see the Rams do here in free agency before the draft?
Man, get a receiver. Get a speedy receiver. Get a receiver that takes the top off the defense, man. Don't be, now you have somebody, you have a quarterback that can throw it deep, who can get it there, because Jared Goff just couldn't, man. He was an underneath guy. He had to do a lot of misdirection. That's how we had to handle things, man, and a lot of underneath routes. Just get a speedy receiver, even if you don't connect with them, but at least have the threat to throw it deep 2 or 3 times a game.
What's the one kid's name? I think he's from Florida. Van Jefferson. Is he a deep threat? You're not sold on him?
I haven't seen him enough of him yet, man. I think if he was a deep threat, we could have used him last season. He still has a lot to learn as far as playing receiver. But if he was a deep threat, we still could have thrown him out there and had him go deep. So I have to see him do that. So until I see him do that, I'm going to say no. But I'm not going to say he can't be, but I'm going to say no.
Yeah. So the good thing about that is there's wide receivers everywhere, right? This is the deepest free agency class ever. And for the second year in a row, the draft is super deep with wide receivers, and they got a lot of speedy guys in there, so they should be able to land somebody to do that for them offensively. I don't know, you probably don't follow the Browns that much. We kind of talked about them a little bit. They got to take the next step in 2021. For me, it's kind of like, okay, Baker's new money will hit in 2023, right? That rookie quarterback deal's over. So you got to go for it now, this year, and next year especially. I'd like to see him take a step forward this year, maybe get to the AFC Championship game, and then really take a shot at it in 2022. What do the Browns have to do to take that next step, you think?
Well, Brad, you know what, man? With all due respect to you and your show, man, because I'm glad you got me on the show. With all due respect to Cleveland fans listening, Browns fans listening, man, I don't give a damn what Cleveland does. No, but seriously, though, no, man. You know what? Continue to progress and upgrade. You all have some playmakers on both sides of the ball. Now you've got a great potential, NFL Pro Bowler, John Johnson III, in that defensive backfield, a defensive backfield that was already pretty good, and y'all got that beast in Myles Garrett on the defensive line. I mean, god dang, bro. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't put anybody with him, man, he's just a hell raiser, man, worse than Pinhead. So I think the Browns, man, you all made a nice little run this season, which I wasn't expecting that. So you all have some chemistry going on. I would think the best thing you all could do, y'all holding on to OBJ, don't let him come back into the offense, forcing him the ball. Let him come back and play a role, because offensively you all had got some chemistry going, and defensively you all had got some chemistry. So for you all to take this the next step, I think you all learned a lot this past season, and I think that's only going to help you all going forward. And as I said, you have a superstar like OBJ, and with a superstar mentality, just don't let him come back trying to force things and make them force to give him the ball. Make him come in and play within, the parameters of the offense.
Yeah, man, John Johnson III, I'm hoping, is the difference maker on that defense. We got Denzel Ward on one side, you got Greedy Williams coming back on the other, you got Grant Delpit coming back from injury at the one safety spot. I just feel like that's a lot of young talent back there. If he can kind of lead those younger guys, even though he's only 25, those other guys are younger than him. But a talented group back there, and hopefully that he is the catalyst for that group to take a next step forward, because defense was the problem ultimately last year. So we're really excited to get him, and it was great to be able to talk to you about him, and also Anthony Miller, get your story. You've been a great guest tonight, Doc. I appreciate your time, making time for All Eyes on Cleveland. We appreciate it, man.
I appreciate it, man. I have to apologize, man. I'm gonna tell you couldn't find any Rams footage. Let me tell you something, man. I have submitted to the NFL, man, like 5 times over the last 10 to 15 years to give me some game film. They won't do it, man. Or they try to charge me like $150 an hour. I'm not paying them for that, man. So I appreciate you doing your research, Brad. I appreciate that, man.
Of course, man. Of course. I had to watch it. I was enjoying the tunes too, because that's my kind of music, man. That's my time frame.
MJG, man. That was that Memphis dude. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time. You've been awesome, man. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, thank you, Brad.
Big thanks to the one and only Doc Holliday. He is the co-host with Isaac Bruce of the Bleav in Rams podcast, lending us his knowledge on one John Johnson III and other things, among other things. Little Troy Hill, this and that. Breaking news, if you didn't know, while I was asking him, about receivers, about Anthony Miller, Rashard Higgins is coming back to the Browns. Yes, yes, yes. He's coming back one more year, and I'm thrilled, as are, I'm sure, all of us out there, Browns fans, as Hig is coming back again for another year, staying here in Cleveland, home sweet home. And that's a beautiful thing. So that just came across the wire there. Wanted to talk real quickly about free agency before we get out of here tonight on All Eyes on Cleveland. Once again, I'm Brad Ward. Mikey's on the ones and twos. And big thanks again to Doc Holliday of Bleav in Rams podcast and the Bleav Podcast Network for lending him to me, my man Cam Rogers over there. Every time I call over there, he hooks me up with a guest, oftentimes former players. It's great. He's been tremendous for the show. So big thanks to him as well. But yes, tonight here on the show, wanted to hit on where we are with free agency. So we know John Johnson III, that's a straight home run. He will change the secondary completely. This guy can do everything. You can play him at free. You can play him at strong. He can be your rover. He can be your viper guy, or if you want Delpit in that role. But what he does is he frees up this defense. He's so versatile that they can play that 3 safety look, and you can move guys around. You don't even, all 3 of these guys can really play in any one of those spots. When you're talking about Harrison, Delpit, and now John Johnson III, who is going to be an excellent player. If you've seen any of the tape that that's been posted around Twitter, it's that my guy Jake Burns has posted over at the OBR on their site up on Twitter. He is just an absolute baller, and just like Doc said in the interview, he will change his defense. He called the plays for them. He did everything for that Rams defense, and he will change the Browns defense immediately. So that was a home run right off the get. Now, everybody's worried about edge. Takk McKinley is a guy the Browns have tried to obtain 4 different times. He slipped through their fingers several times last year when they put a claim in on him, bounced around to a couple teams failing physicals, ended up with the Raiders, put him on injured reserve. He's been dinged up. He forced his way out of Atlanta, kind of. He ends up with the Browns on a 1-year, $4 million deal. Look at him as kind of the replacement to, Adrian Claiborne. So he should be like your third edge. They should still be able to address that second edge out there. They also need to address corner, but today they did some good work. They re-signed Malcolm Smith, brought him back. He was a positive in the linebacker room. And, of course, now Rashard Higgins, which is a huge retaining him to the Browns is gigantic. So let's go down the list of guys that are still out there and available and the Browns should still have interest in. You can look at Melvin Gordon. You can look at Jadeveon Clowney. Probably not those two, but more like an Aldon Smith or Carlos Dunlap would fill that role opposite Myles Garrett pretty well. There's guys, Justin Houston, Terrell Basham out there. The two that I look at out of that list are Aldon Smith and Carlos Dunlap, maybe 1-year deal guys, stopgaps, and then you take your Azeez Ojulari at 26, and you've got your guy of the future in there as well, along with some depth with Takk McKinley, who is certainly a talented pass rusher. Let's hope that change of scenery does him some good. Betting on the culture there a little bit for the Browns, something that is very new to say about the Browns, but it is a positive. At cornerback, there's a million of them out there, and I wanted to express this to everybody that's kind of, they haven't done this or they missed on an edge or just patience. Andrew Berry in the salary cap situation right now is one that patience is going to pay off. And that if the first few days if you refrain from overpaying on guys, which a lot of teams did, if you look at some of those numbers, they are outrageous, especially in this year with the salary cap at 182.5. Teams overpaid on a lot of guys. The Browns weren't going to do that. They got the guy they wanted on a very reasonable deal with John Johnson, I keep calling him Joe Johnson. John Johnson III. of course. We talked about what an impact he's going to be, but really, Andrew Berry and his patience will pay off. The market is going to soften in the coming days, and this second wave of free agents is going to be full of guys that you can get on 1-year deal, 2-year deal on the cheap, and they can probably fill a number of holes out there. Now, these are some of the names out there at corner. I mean, there's a million of them out there still. Patrick Peterson, Xavier Rhodes, Kevin King, Troy Hill, we talked about with Doc. Richard Sherman, Brian Poole, a guy that has been linked to the Browns. Desmond King, Dory Jackson, a guy that has been linked to the Browns. Malcolm Butler, Quentin Dunbar, Nicole Roby-Coleman, Mackenzie Alexander, K'Wan Williams would fit that slot role. Now, just recently here tonight, we have Steve Dorchek of the Canton Repository saying that Garyon Conley, another Ohio State kid, could be linked to the Browns, and that there's mutual interest between the team and Conley. Brashad Breeland is a guy that I really like from the Chiefs. He's still on the market. Casey Hayward, A.J. Boyer, not so much on those guys, but there's a ton of names out there. All those guys Malcolm Butler, all those guys could fill roles. But the links are there with, I think you can look at a guy you've got to fill that slot role. So, premier slot still available. Troy Hill, Brian Poole, who was rumored by Mary Kay Cabot to be linked to the Browns. K'Wan Williams is a premier slot corner. And, of course, there is who is the other guy out there? Got Hill, got Poole. Yeah, that Desmond King can play in the slot as well as Nicole Roby-Coleman. Are more of inside guys, but the guys that I'm really looking at and want the Browns to look at hard and long is Troy Hill, Brian Poole, and K'Wan Williams for that role there. Now, the guys linked to the Browns, Dory Jackson, has been linked to the Browns. Now, he fits exactly into what we've seen Barry do, right? Guys coming off of their contract, first-round talent, first-round pick, maybe hasn't worked out perfectly. Great speed. He's linked to the Browns from the Titans, Dory Jackson. And then Garyon Conley is supposed to have mutual interest, according to Steve Dorchek of the Canton Repository tonight. So there's a couple guys linked to the Browns. The Browns re-signed Malcolm Smith and, of course, Rashard Higgins. Huge. Bringing back Hollywood. That's all good. But I preach patience here because being patient here is going to allow this money to go a lot further on the second wave of free agency. Don't panic. I hear people on the radio calling in saying, oh, we're doing this, we're not getting the edge, we missed this. There's a ton of guys out there, including at 26 in the draft. You get your long-term solution at edge. I think that may be the route they're going, but they still will address it again in free agency, guaranteed. Once again, Tack McKinley is a very talented guy, but a guy who's going to fill that Adrian Claiborne role, a guy that you can bring in on pass rush downs and let him flash that talent. It's a low risk, high reward contract for him. He could pan out and be fantastic for the Browns, but he could also be nothing and oh well, right? But that's where I say they look at Aldon Smith, Carlos Dunlap, guys that had resurgences last year, guys that Carlos Dunlap was excellent in Seattle. Aldon Smith had a great year. These guys could bring that pressure opposite Myles Garrett, work as a stopgap. You go draft your edge of the future at 26. Azeez Ojulari, I know we put stuff on Brown's Wire about him. Love that guy. If he was there, I would gobble him up. I think he would be a tremendous edge for the future for the Browns. So patience. This second wave is coming, and I know Barry's going to take advantage of it. The market's softening already, and a lot of teams overpaid for guys, and the Browns are going to be better off in the long run that they waited. This has been another edition of All Eyes on Cleveland, presented by Blue Wire Hustle. Big thanks to Doc Holliday of former running back for the Rams and co-host with Isaac Bruce of the Bleav in Rams podcast. He was awesome, hilarious, and gave us a good breakdown on everything. John Johnson III, asked him about Troy Hill as well. and another Memphis kid, Anthony Miller, who is now on the trade block. Talked a little bit about Stafford. So if you missed that portion of the show, make sure you go back and watch the interview. You can please hit subscribe down below. If you're watching the show now, we're on playback. Hit it down below, and you can catch the podcast where all popular podcasts are found. This has been another edition of All Eyes on Cleveland as free agency goes on. Good stuff tonight. Hollywood's coming back. Great news. And we're going to get out of here on that note. For Mikey on the ones and twos, my name is Brad Ward. This has been another edition of All Eyes on Cleveland. We are out.